Listen, Colombiana, I don't think that what happened to you at Kenya's event should have happened to you. I don't like that it happened to you, and I don't like that Kenya Moore did it. But I'm still having a little bit of a hard time with you. Let's chat. What's up, everybody? It's your girl Bonnie Scotch. Thank you so much for tuning into my video today. I wanted to bring you a review for Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is season 16, episode 6. I thought that this was a good episode. Did it need to be an hour long? Absolutely not. Now, before we get into today's review, go ahead and hit the like button for me. When you hit the like button, it is a free way to support the channel and also let YouTube know that I'm here and that you all are rocking with my commentary. Some really quick church announcements. I do have a membership, so if you would like to support the channel, you can do that. I will have it linked in the description. For $5 a month, a cup of coffee every month, you can help me with the maintenance of this channel. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. We start this episode getting reactions from all of the girls regarding what happened at Kenya's event. Everybody is flabbergasted. Everybody does not like that this happened. And, you know, I get it. I totally get it. Then we go over to Britney's house. Now, I want to start this by saying that I don't think that what happened to her should have happened to her. I don't like that it happened to her. Again, I don't like that Kenya Moore did it. But I'm having a hard time with Britney because I just feel like she doesn't take accountability. I don't like when a person starts at point Z and not at point A. Like if you just came in owning like, I got this started, you know, I started with something nasty and something nasty boomerang back to me. I would be able to empathize with you a lot more if you approached it from that angle. Before any of y'all start typing fast, just remember that it's my channel and my opinion. That's my opinion! She's on the couch talking to Mike. She says that she spent $250 on flowers for her. I don't give a damn if you spent $2,000 on flowers. That's not the venue, that's not the time or the space for flowers. And also, if you threaten my life with a pow-pow, I feel like don't insult me with an apology. You get what I'm saying? Like, there is no apology. I said this before. No rose, no lily, no stargazer, nothing that can make up for you threatening my life with pow-pow violence. That's crazy. Then you went around to everybody else talking about how sorry you were, and you didn't go straight to Kenya. But then you wanted to show up at her event with flowers? Something about that is very mannish. She has very mannish ways. I don't know. It's kind of like a man to threaten you with violence and then show up with flowers. Like, I don't know. Something about that is a little bit unhinged for me. Is it just me? Let's start with the conversation and then maybe we can get to flowers. Also, I don't want to hear anything about, oh, you know, Kenya never uninvited her. I think if you are a person with sense, if you are a person with more than 2 working brain cells, you know that nobody has to tell you that you are uninvited to a space because you threatened somebody's life. It's a no-brainer. It's kind of like, anyway, I'm not even going to get into that, child. She says that in her early 20s, she tried webcam, and when she was a teenager, she allowed her boyfriend to film her giving oral. So now it's still a question of whether or not she was a minor because Porsha on her YouTube channel brought this up, you know, says that Kenya was exposing pictures of her when she was a minor. I'm not quick to jump up and believe Porsha because Porsha loves telling lies. She loves nasty allegations. She loves the spice that a lie adds to her tongue. So I don't, you know what I mean? I take everything that Porsha says with a grain of salt. Britney didn't say that she was a minor. She said she was a teenager. So she could have been 18. She could have been 19. I don't know. But it's still like, you know what I mean? That's a crime. Anyway, this is a mess, child. Kelly comes over to bring some food and an IV specialist. I thought that that was really nice. I'm kind of weird about just like somebody like giving me an IV that's not, I don't know, like cosmetic use. I don't know. Something about that culture just never, like going to an IV party and all of that carrying on. I don't want nobody juking me in my arm for shits and gigs. I don't know. Whatever. But some people are really into this apparently. So cool. Britney is saying that Kenya wanted a rise out of her and that she's been poking at her since she met her. She has a very skewed reality that she lives in. And this is a little bit worrisome to me because there are people like this who can create firestorms in your life. They can say that something happened when it's the exact opposite, when they were the one provoking you and caused you to be provocative, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm such a victim. And yes, she is a victim, and what Kenya did take it too far. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I'm having a really hard time with Brit, y'all. And I said from the very beginning, I said this when I first started reviewing this, that I'm going to try to give everybody a fair shot and a fair chance. You are somebody who picked with Kenya. Like, I don't know, like you're just reading into stuff more than what it is. And now that you have watched the show, you still took your ass on Watch What Happens Live, not taking accountability and saying, oh, she wanted to start with me. Did you watch the show? Anyway, we have new confessionals for everybody in this episode. In my notes, I had everybody except for Aeon Flux, but the first time I watched this, I legitimately forgot that she had a new confessional. I don't think that it was a bad looking outfit. I like the leather jacket dress. The boots did look a little bit cheap. I don't think it was a bad look or anything like that, but all of the ladies had new confessional looks, and then I will go through them, as we go through this episode. So Shmeya has on lavender. It has some big detail on one side. It's very, I don't know. It's just very structured on one side. I think that she looked really good in lavender. I think that lavender is probably, it could be a power color for Shmeya. It looked fab on her. Okay, so we have Porsha, Kelly, Angela, and Drew meeting up at Shmeya's house. Shmeya has a personal chef. She was like, oh, are you going to let me taste this? And he was like, you can taste whatever you want. Sometimes when men say things, I'm like, y'all be knowing what y'all saying. Y'all be knowing when y'all saying little fly stuff. Anyway, so we have Porsha, Kelly, Angela, and Drew meeting up at Shmeya's house. I think the ladies point out that she has a fan. Somebody points out that she, brought a fan with her, which I'm going to start doing that because it'd be too damn hot outside. I think it's a good idea. But in any case, she goes out of her way to point out that she is not perimenopausal. Girl, if you are, it's okay. You ain't got a lot to kick it. Like, that's a part of aging. That's what women go through. And I love it when women in their early 40s, some people start experiencing perimenopause as early as late 30s, early 40s. And I wish more women could talk about it so we can know as a community what are some of the things that we're going to have to be dealing with. I feel like I've experienced this where I hear so many mothers say, oh, nobody told me, nobody talks about blah, blah, blah when it comes to parenting, when it comes to pregnancy. We got to talk about these things when it comes to perimenopause and all of these changes that our bodies are going through. There's nothing wrong with it. And I just hate ageism. I hate reads that are related to age because it's not a read. It's like you reading somebody because they was born before you. They can't control that. Like, what? It's just so tired and lazy, but whatever. Kelly says that she wouldn't forgive Kenya, and Porsha is saying if it was her, she would be done. Porsha, I would think that you should be a person that can definitely stand to extend a little bit more grace, seeing as though Candy wasn't done with you when you were running around spreading vicious lies and allegations about her and Todd with Phaedra. Now, Angela's asking Porsha, what was it that you were saying about my husband the other day? And Porsha says, I'm sorry, I was actually playing with you. And then I realized, okay, when she got mad as she did, she doesn't know me like that. I don't know her like that. Maybe that wasn't the best joke. Porsha says, that she has a cousin with a degree in investigation. Okay, so that same cousin didn't investigate Simon? You looking into everybody else's husband except for the one that you was laying up with. You have a cousin that helps you look for things, but she didn't help you look up your scamming ass husband? Now, I said this in a side video about this comment that Porsha made about how she was just joking. If you don't know somebody like that, you can't just joke with them. I hate when somebody says something offensive or something crazy or out the way or off color. You confront them about it and then all of a sudden, oh, it's just jokes. You cannot have a joke at somebody's expense that you don't know. If you don't know me to joke like that, then don't feel comfortable telling a joke at my expense about my husband. And you know how people are about their husbands. And Angela, let this be a lesson to you going forward that you need to clock stuff in the moment. You need to confront people like Porsha, especially in the moment. I feel like there's a lot of people that maybe you can let a lot of things slide. But when it comes to your husband, that's a no-brainer. Clock it in the moment. Okay? Now, you probably didn't want to clock it because you probably assumed that what she was saying had some validity to it. It has some truth, and you didn't want to know. Maybe you're used to sweeping things under the rug. When it comes to Charles, things like babies. Hello? I mean, that's what Wendy Williams said. Allegedly. But yeah, next time, just don't wait. Also, another quick note about Angela. I noticed that in this episode, she was helping to drive the story forward. She's asking questions. Now, remember a couple, or was it on Watch What Happens Live? I think it was on Watch What Happens Live, where she said that Kenya was really sweet to her and how she had been coaching her. Kenya is probably the best coach that you would want out of this franchise, I would think. Kudos to Kenya and Angela for learning and taking cues from one of the best, to ever do it. I think she was doing a fab job of helping to move this and asking the questions and things like that. I said, oh, all right now, Miss Angela. We love when the girls are coachable. By the way, I just wanted to post her confessional look because I don't think I talked about it in this review. I'm starting to really warm up to Angela, y'all. I do think she is a little bit, I still think she's a little bit of a chaos goblin. You know, I did notice that she does insert. Here's another thing I wanted to say. I haven't mentioned this too. I'm going off on all these side tangents. I don't want y'all to think that I'm not paying attention to certain things or I'm not interested. It's not that, right? I noticed this about myself, and I haven't told you all this, but something that I noticed about myself, now I don't know if it's the frequency of somebody's voice or if like a part of my brain thinks that what they're saying, like unconsciously, if I think that what they're saying is bullshit, I kind of tune them out. Sometimes when certain people talk, my eyes glaze over and I just completely check out of reality. It happens with Porsha and it also happens with Angela Oakley. So I don't always clock every lie that Angela tells because a lot of the times I do tune out what she's saying. Like there are times when I have to like go back and have you guys ever like, maybe it's just me, but sometimes I'll miss something and I'll rewind it and I miss it again and then I rewind it again and I miss it again. And then like I have rewound something 5 times because my brain has checked out that many times. I don't want y'all to think that I, am intentionally missing some things. There are some things that I don't feel like it's relevant for me to talk about. There are some things that I actually have in my notes that I just forget because, I go off on these tangents. But anyway, Porsha is one of those people. She talks and I just check out. I can only handle Porsha in small doses. Same with Angela. So anyway, let me get back to this. Drew comes out a little bit later. She's talking about her divorce a little bit. Angela is asking Porsha about her divorce. Again, driving the story forward. Angela is asking, would you ever consider getting back together with Simon? Porsha let it be known that Simon thinks, and has said this publicly, that her mom was in cahoots with her boyfriend to help rob the house. She says, you can't say anything about my mom and you can't hurt my baby. And then she starts telling this story about how allegedly Pilar was asking for him and how she normally calls him Papa. And she was like, oh, where's Simon? Porsha, stop lying on Pilar's name. Stop lying on that baby. Listen, leave my girl Pilar alone. Leave her out of this. You have already brought enough in the way of shenanigans into this young child's life. Because the fact of the matter is, she should have never been introduced to Simon period, that early. She should have never been on his lap. She should have never been calling him Papa. She has a dad. You know what? I'm not even. She starts crying without tears. Guess who runs over to console her? None other than Shmeya, to be the savior. Now, Porsha is saying that she texted Simon. So basically, Porsha is saying that she texted Simon that Pilar was asking for him. Now, I had to do the voiceover for this because I dictated my notes into my phone and it put Pilar as Pierre, so I read it as Pierre, and I really didn't want that in my video. I didn't want nobody to think I was being shady to Miss Pilar, honey, because Pilar is my girl, period. But anyway, y'all, yeah, she basically texted him that Pilar was checking for him, and he ignored her text. And she's shocked and appalled by that. So first you call his pastor, then you call his family, and they all ignore you. And then you text Simon something about Pilar, and then he ignores you then. That's what people do when you're going through a breakup. What's not clicking? Porsha needs a lot of help connecting the dots. You can't use your child as a pawn to try to hook and reel somebody back in. What was the point of you even telling him that? It's actually super manipulative now that I think about it. It's like, you know that this man is a scammer and you're telling him something about Pilar. Still trying to involve him in your child's life. Y'all, we gotta light a candle for Pilar and send a thoughts and prayers for Pilar. Because that girl has a stupid mother. A stupid and irresponsible mother. Ridiculous. Porsha says in her confessional that everything felt right. Did it? Everything felt right? When you were getting pulled over in stolen cars, when you were getting stopped at the airport, everything felt right to you? Porsha says that he presented this entire life and person that I have been looking for, and that the mirror was shattered because it wasn't real. He presented exactly who he was, and you were okay with it. This was the person that presented everything in your life that you were looking for. Okay, so scams and schemes, fraud, stolen cars, and a bogus green card is everything that you were looking for. Okay, girl. Sure. Listen, we all have different goals and aspirations, so who are me to judge? Next up, we have Kelly and her eldest daughter, Chloe, having a little yoga session. Chloe found her mother in the bathroom. I think she said in the bathroom, crying, and apparently she went to get her little sisters and held it down. So there was an article that came up about Kelly, and she showed it to Chloe. Now, I just want to extend some love to Chloe. You know, I was an eldest child as well. That comes with certain expectations. I feel like eldest daughters grow up really fast, and a lot of the times their emotions and their needs are overlooked and ignored because they are just expected to, you know, just keep going, just hold it down. Everybody's supposed to be looking up to you. You're the eldest child. A lot can go overlooked, so it was nice to see Kelly spending some one-on-one time with her, some quality time, and really hearing her out, and just receiving the things that she had to say. So this article came up about, you know, her ex-husband being locked up for contempt, him going to jail. He owes her $10,000 in child support. You know, he's been trying to destroy her business, and the little girls still think that he is in jail. Now, Kelly has a new confessional look. The look is money. Puss puss, okay? My favorite confessional look of Kelly's by far. Chloe says that this man has not talked to her and that he's not trying to get custody of her. So he apparently has raised her from the time that she was 2 years old. So that is the only dad that she knows. And I know that that is heartbreaking for her to experience that, you know, this feeling of I'm not wanted because I'm not his daughter. I find Chloe highly relatable. I'm not going to get all into my story like that, but I am relating quite a bit to Chloe. You know, I don't have the time to get into it right now. Maybe I'll tell the story another day. But in any case, Chloe is saying that she is fine and that she accepted this, but you can tell that she's not okay. I really felt for that baby. She says that she doesn't want to get married because what if I end up like you? Now, baby, when your child reads you, it hits different because I'm sure that Kelly probably excused a lot of harmful behavior and bypassed a lot of red flags to get to where she is right now. So when your child holds a mirror up to you, it definitely hits a lot different. But I'm so happy that Kelly responded in the way that she did and she didn't lash out or anything like that, because I think sometimes parents do need their child to hold a mirror up to them. It is important for you to be able to hear and receive, even those harder conversations where you're not at your best. Remember when Noelle read Cynthia many, many years ago, and she was like, Mom, do you have low self-esteem? Because this type of treatment that you accept from men is unacceptable. I said, ooh, from the mouths of babes, honey. All right, next up we are at Drew's house, and she is packing up to leave for the weekend. Now remember, she has to leave every other weekend. I don't know what kind of judge would order, a mother to leave the house every other weekend so that a man can come upstairs and interact with his children. So he can't parent from the basement. The kids can't go downstairs and spend time with their dad. I'm not understanding this. Drew says that this is having an impact on the kids, but then she also said last week that the judge said that they're not supposed to be talking about the divorce. So there are all of these changes going on in the house, and the kids can't know about the divorce, but the kids have to be okay with their mother leaving the house every other weekend and kind of like uprooting the house. This is not making sense. Things are not adding up. Like, who was the judge presiding over this case? I need to know. Like, people who have been in divorce court and, custody battles and, legal eagles out there, please get down. I know I have a couple of lawyers in my comments and things like that. Please speak up. Is this normal? Is this okay? Like, who does this? I would have to assume that this judge hates women. What's going on? So anyway, Drew and the kids are having breakfast. Ralph comes upstairs. Drew is telling Ralph that he needs to call the exterminator, and Ralph is like, why should I call them? I already pay all the bills. Exactly. So if you pay all the bills, what's the issue? This just further reinforced for me that Ralph is just a nigga that loves to argue. Drew is like, all right, I'm out. Peace. She gets in the car with Allison. Shout out to Miss Allison, okay? She skedaddles with her big sister. So we meet up with Shmeya in the studio next. Let's go to the studio and drop some beats.
Well, Candy, won't you check around Puerto Rico and see if there's a studio we can go drop some beats?
Now, she is meeting up with RL from the group Next. I guess I didn't realize how much RL looks like Teddy Riley until I looked at this episode. Anyway, Shmeya is saying that, Drew, this is who you should have been working with, and you should have found you in RL. Shmeya, please be quiet. She's doing fine. The album is doing well. And just because she is working with somebody that you're not working with doesn't mean that it's any less valid. So just focus on your own paper and worry about who you're working with. And stop worrying about throwing shade at Drew. Drew shade is so unnecessary to me because it's just like, that's who y'all choose to go after. I don't know. I feel like Drew is not confrontational, so whatever. Anyway. So Angela is meeting up with Shmeya in the studio, and she is apologizing and saying, I know how much it hurt you that Porsha was talking over your song and saying that that wasn't you. Shmeya is saying that she's still hurting, even though she did talk to Porsha after they filmed. Porsha was like, oh, girl, I just didn't know that that was you. I really didn't know. So you let Porsha get away with it without really confronting that you were hurt by that. Shmeya says that she prioritizes Porsha's feelings over hers and that she's a people pleaser, and she does this a lot in her life. The fact that you know this about yourself and you're saying it out loud and you're still doing it is going to be an issue. Something that I learned is that people pleasing is a way of manipulating people, because what you're doing is trying to control your environment, trying to control how you are perceived. Now, this is something that I definitely struggled with myself. Let people worry about your feelings sometimes and how you feel about them. You don't always have to be the one worrying about, oh, well, how's she going to feel about what? Let some people worry about your response to things. It's okay to, balance the scales a little bit. Somebody doesn't get to treat you like shit, and you say, oh, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want to disappoint them. Baby, you need to go to therapy and get some tools and figure out, how to confront things. I support you in this, Shmeya, because I don't want to see you going through this, and to see the way you're still showing up, it's starting to wear me thin a little bit. You need to be cussing Porsha's ass out. It's time to cuss her ass out. We have seen so many times where she's not been a good friend to you. She let Phaedra dog you out. And you know what she did? She said, oh, well, Todd and Candy do hang out a lot, whenever Phaedra implied that, or said directly that y'all are sleeping together. She's talking over your song while you're trying to play it. She's screwing up her face the whole time. Like, what is going to be enough for you? What does she have to do? She got to fuck your husband for you to say enough? I don't know. It just... Whatever. Anyway, we go back over to Britney's house, and her mom comes over. She says that it was a very uncomfortable conversation, with her mom having to explain that she was giving fellatio to somebody, which I do completely understand. I'm sure your mom knows that you gave fellatio, but explaining to her, the situation with Kenya, I get that that is something terrible. Britney tells her mother that she has always been dealing with hate her entire life. Her mother says to her, it's just that girls are like that. They like to hate. They're not happy with their life. This is what they do. Now, didn't I tell y'all, Britney strikes me as the type that has been gassed her whole life by her family. And she has been gassed into believing that every woman that has an issue with you is jealous of you because you're pretty and you're light skinned. Britney tells her mom, I'm not going to match her energy when she goes low. I'm going to go high. Baby, you started this down in the gutter, though. She didn't start in the gutter. And now you're choosing to take the high road. No, baby, you were already down here. Did you explain to... Because the mother is saying, oh, well, Miss USA, she's a pageant queen. She should be uplifting young girls. Did your daughter tell you that she threatened Miss USA's life with a pow-pow? I really just don't like that Aeon Flux is going around telling half of the story. I feel like you need to tell your mother that you were threatening that lady with pistols and whips. You need to be telling people about your unhinged behavior so they can have a full context of how this shit got jumping. We have Shmeya and Porsha meeting up to play miniature golf. Shmeya says that once again in her confessional that her feelings are hurt by Porsha, that she doesn't want to confront Porsha about how hurt her feelings are by Porsha talking over her song, and that she's going through a lot, so she doesn't feel like it's an appropriate time to bring this up. Shmeya, aren't you going through a lot too, though, babes? Porsha is going through a lot that she put her own self through. She's the architect of her own demise here. And I feel like even though people are going through stuff, you should be able to tell them, hey, you hurt my feelings. Like, I shouldn't have to bear the brunt of a whole lot of fuckery and you hurting my feelings and treating me however you want just because you're going through a lot. Like, no. Like, we all going through stuff at the end of the day. I just feel like you should be able to confront and tell your friends and have those hard conversations. Then Porsha and Shmeya are talking about Drew again. I fast forwarded through that because I'm not talking about that, okay? And they talk about Simon for a little bit and this cease and desist, and that Porsha is not able to film in the house. Porsha says that he wants to be a star, and she is at it with her influencer husband. Okay. So now we have Kelly throwing a peace brunch for the ladies. Porsha calls her to tell her that she won't be able to come. Now you can actually hear the congestion through the phone, and I'm like, Porsha has been sick for like 3 episodes. I'm glad that she sat this out, though, because it's like, I hate when sick people purposefully go around other people. It's like, you're sick. Stay your ass at home. Kelly says, all right, girl, take the day off. Just don't take nobody else, man. I love that. Shmeya and Angela show up first, and I think they both look really nice. Drew tips in a little bit later, and Colombiana comes in very last. So did y'all see when Kim Possible greeted everybody, and she kind of gave Drew like this side kiss? That's exactly what Kenya did to her at the party. I mean, at the bank dinner. That's exactly how Kenya greeted her. So it was okay for you to greet Drew like that, but it wasn't okay for Kenya to greet you the same exact way. So they get into this conversation about how they checked on Kenya and Britney got offended that they checked on her. And she's like, this is the reason I have issues with women. And she's saying that, I built a wall up. They all have relationships with Kenya and they have known her for over a decade, a lot of these women. So of course they're going to check up on her. Like, what are you saying? So apparently Laura Croft had mentioned to Shmeya that she had lost her insurance license. And Angela says, oh, really? Based on what? And Britney said, what do you mean based on what? Are you confused? What's going on? I said, wow, that was unnecessarily aggressive. She asked a very simple question. So we see that, once again, Britney is meeting someone with a level of aggression that was completely uncalled for. Angela says, I'm licensed as well. To lose a license, there has to be a cause. Angela is saying, I really don't understand the energy. This is a peace offering. I just asked you a simple question. Angela is saying, well, you failed to take responsibility on how we even got here. Maybe Angela clocked your tea, Miss Aeon Flux. She did. She did. She got you. Because I have been saying this. How are you not addressing how this all got started? That is a big part of the issue here. Britney starts cursing and yelling at her, telling her to read the effing room. Britney says that because of all of the backlash and defamation, she's under investigation. So it's like you're telling different stories. You told Shmeya that you lost your license, but now it's like you're under investigation. And then G.I. Jane started snipping at Drew a little bit, and she was just throwing her nasty energy all around. She says she already admitted to wrongdoing. Yeah, to everybody except the person that you threatened with a pistol and a whip. Oh, also Watch What Happens Live. I didn't really receive her energy well on Watch What Happens Live. I have a hard time when people don't take accountability. I really do. But anyway, y'all, that was the episode. Go ahead and get down in the comments with me. Let me know how you felt about this one. The season is already feeling different with Kenya. No, I'm still optimistic because I really like Kelly and I have really started to warm up to Angela. I also really still like Shmeya. But Shmeya, I'm going to need you to get a backbone. I'm going to need you to get a backbone ASAP, Miss Thing. So I just wanted to pull over for a moment on Kelly and just give her flowers because the level of polish that she has, the level of detail that she has when it comes to social media. She's so smart and she is so savvy. She knows how to promote her business, and she puts me in the mind of the RuPaul's Drag Race contestants, kind of like when they get the behind the scenes footage of, maybe they're making the dress or maybe they are, putting together the looks, and we get to kind of come into the background. We get a chance to come into their world, and Kelly is doing such a fabulous job of inviting us into her world and also promoting her business. I want everything on that menu. The chicken, the waffles, the shrimp, the grits, the mimosa mix. I went on her website. Everything is reasonable. Miss Kelly, yes ma'am. But anyway, y'all, those are my thoughts and opinions. Go ahead and get down in the comments with me. Let me know how you felt about this one. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button on your way out. Hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting. And I will see y'all for the next one. Peace.
Come on. It's me, Al Grande, or call me Papi Chulito. Yo tengo mucho loving for you mommies if you legal. For honeys, nothing equal to the way I tap that spot. Get your cat hot. Guess what? You hit the jackpot. Candlelight dinners for you winners. See, I'm like Don Juan. Beat me, sweetie. I get in ya. Sugar, I'ma put you in a beautiful